Shapiro, Viacom, Dana White himself all had to speak on this new distribution deal as it has to do with doing away with pay-per-view. And I've got to tell you, I was blown away. I was blown away. And the first one, I saw it in that order. I watched Shapiro go. I then read the Viacom piece, and then I watched Dana go. And I would have never predicted this in a million years. I mean, I must tell you, if that was me, if I'm in Shapiro's spot, hey, Chael, I can't go. Sit in for me here. I would not have been prepared. I would not have been prepared. I never thought it would go this way. Guys, this is a celebration. This is the single greatest news that you have been given as fight fans. Ever. We celebrate Madison Square Garden. We celebrate a potential of going to the White House. We celebrate Fight Island. We celebrate the O2 Arena. You got to be kidding me. You're not at Fight Island. You're not going out to the White House. You haven't been to O2 Arena. You watch it from home. And now it's free. This is the single best news that you've ever gotten as a fight fan. Now, I'm going to round up. I'm going to call it $1,000 a year. Am I being a little high though? Because there's 11 pay-per-views a year, and they're not $100. But aren't they like 79? And they were 59. Am I close? Should we just cut it in half? What's called $500 a year? You just got handed $500. Truly. But that's for the year. If I was to just go back and we just do some backwards math and go, how long have you been a fight fan? And you say, my whole life. I go, but and you go, what, 10 years? Okay, then 10 times 5, you just got handed $5,000. If it was to go retroactively, if I was to say, how much longer are you going to be a fight fan? You said the rest of my life. So, well, okay, how long you got left here? Can we call it 20 years? 20 times 5, carry the 1, take the 0 over, move the comp. You just got handed $10,000. This is the greatest news. Have you ever been the one that has to host the party? Because when you're hosting the party and you've got to buy it and your buddies come over and they pretend they're going to chip in, but then it's I'll get you tomorrow, I'll get you. Have you ever been in that spot? But then you got to do the pizzas too. You're providing the house, you're going to clean it, you organize the whole thing, you got to buy, and then you end up having to buy the pizzas. I mean, I'm just sharing for you. Like, this is a massive game changer, and what a gift! What an incredible gift that you got given. Shapiro had to defend it. I couldn't believe this. Now, there's a few things that are talking points here. And in the history of MMA, everybody has known more and could do it better than Dana White. That is an idea that goes around where people, because of the accessibility of Dana, will share these types of opinions. Do you understand how insane that sounds? And he lets you do it. He's a man of the people. He'll let you share your opinion and go, well, I think this might be different. And then he'll grow this company into a valuation higher than the New York Yankees. And I'm giving you information from 2017. There's nobody even close to catching the UFC as a franchise right now. But everybody has always known, the fighters, the managers, the corpsmen, the fans, everybody has always known a better way to do it than Dana White. Like, it's one of these things. So Dana now comes out and he gives you a gift. And there is definitely some talking points. The reason I just said that so you didn't miss my point. You don't know what this now means. Every move that Dana's done and every move that the UFC has done, we have a fraction of our own industry. Our own industry that comes out and questions it, and they don't know what the answer is. But they are confident that when that answer gets revealed, it will be to the detriment of the fighter. And that's never happened. It's never happened once. And we don't know what this now means. I have some guesses, and I'm quite sure I'm right. I know between my 3 guesses that one of them is right. I know enough about the industry and how this works. I've studied franchise and models where you have a set amount, and the NBA is doing it right now. The NFL is doing it right now, where you have a set amount. You don't have pay-per-views. You know what's coming in. You know how many players. You know what that pot is going to be, and then you have a little deeper conversation. Okay, well, how do we split this? Because they're not all created the same. Conor as a draw, by example, is not the same as anybody else as a draw. Just for example, start to have these debates. So while I can't tell you exactly what the UFC is going to do, I can tell you the 3 options that the UFC has, and none of them involve harming a fighter. In fact, if I was to go out through history, none of them have ever harmed a fighter. In fact, if I was to just look at the financials, which became public through a court lawsuit, there was never a time in history, including the years that the UFC was losing money, there's never a time in history where year over year, fighter pay didn't go up. Now, that wasn't negotiated. By the way, that was done by the office that said, hey, allocate and get more money to these guys. The idea that you know what a MMA fighter makes is false. It's simply false. And the idea that within the pay-per-view model or your champions or your top guys, they're not paid enough. I mean, this is what the articles that I read. Let me just grab one, and this isn't random, and I'm going to grab Jon Jones. And I understand that there's parts about him that's an anomaly because he's so wonderful, but let me just grab Jon, just a name that you know. He sat out multiple years on suspension. That means no pay. Your sponsors also, just so you know, freeze you. No money coming in. Could you imagine that happening to you? Would that change your life? Would that impact your life? If you had a vacation schedule, just for example, would you cancel it? Because Jon had it happen to him on 2 separate times, and it did not impact his life at all. Just for example. Now, a different time, Jon took 3 years off on his own. Gave the belt back, was not in the sport. But there's no sponsors. Make sure you understand that. There's absolutely no income. It did not change his life at all. In fact, he got 2 new cars in those 3 years, and he came back and ended up getting himself a new house, and I believe a tiger. But could you do that? Could you even imagine choosing? It's your choice, not a suspension. You're choosing to say, I'm going to take 3 years off. And you were in such a financial position that it didn't impact your life at all. And I ask you that because there's certain things I can't tell you. I can lead you down a road, but you got to hear the things I'm not saying. So I'm just sharing for you. You have some of these top guys, and they choose to not fight. And that is a giant clue for you about how much money they're actually making when they do fight. It is a giant clue. Francis Ngannou at one point has said that he was not happy with his pay. But in return for not being happy with his pay, he sat for over a year by choice. By choice, he went a year without a fight, and it didn't impact his life. He was able to do that. So his actual financial position is one where you've got these clues, you got these dinging lights. Conor McGregor, and I know that you know that he's different and made us a lot of money, but it is the same spot. He made money because he was the top of the bill. And he was in on pay-per-view. And he could take as much time off as he wanted. I want you to know this. I'm trying to tell you something. I'm trying to get you to connect these dots, but you truly don't know what they make. And any fighter, any top fighter that follows his schedule, which is 3 fights a year. And getting top fighters to do that is very difficult. I mean, you got Alex Pierre, you got Izzy Adesanya, you got Volkanovski, and this is over the history of time. To get top guys to make that walk 3 times a year, one thing that they have in common is none of them have ever complained about money, not ever. But this needs to be a clue to you. I know you don't know what they make, but I'm trying to share with you. If you follow that schedule, which is to only go to work 3 times a year, those guys never, ever complain about money. And if you stand back and you look at your life, go, wow, this is pretty good. So that's a clue to you on what they're actually making. Now, I will tell you something that I'm interested in, and I don't have the answer. I'm interested. This is the one that I'm studying. If you stop doing pay-per-view, and please understand where the athlete's financial participation in pay-per-view came from. Some of you, that's normal and that's the way this works. That is false. From 1993, including in 2001 when Dana White stepped in, it was only and exclusively on pay-per-view, and nobody had ever been paid $1 through pay-per-view. And Dana knew that that was a commonality in boxing, and he wanted to do this for our guys. And the first person that he brought in on this was Chuck Liddell, just to put that into a time perspective for you. And not every champion got it, but very quickly they did. I'm talking about from the first day that it happened when Chuck got it. Not every champion got it, but very quickly they did. Like within a couple of years, everybody, and it just became a standard of our industry. Now, the people that walked into it assumed it had been going on forever. I mean, it was like the world that they lived in. But it wasn't, and you're not owed it. It was a gift. It was kindness and generosity, and became an industry standard. But I'm just trying to share with you where it came from, because it wasn't just a reward to the champion. There's just this much more on it, and it's never discussed. It's just assumed to be known, which is, as champion, your media opportunities are going to be larger than anyone else's. As main event, the opportunities that we have for you to do media, we're going to have more requests. Right? Do you understand that from a PR standpoint? A PR person sends this out to all the radio stations and the network. Imagine if you signed up with a PR company and they did that with you. Do you think any radio station is going to grab you and have you on? They're going to say, I don't know who that is. But as soon as you're the champion in your main eventing shows, all of a sudden you put those opportunities out, you get the request to say, yes, we'd like to have you on. Well, that now equates to a lot of work. And if you want the guy to go out and do that work, which is elected, and if you want him to be good at it and have a good attitude and go out there and do his job to bring attention to this night of business, they incentivize them to do that. And that's where pay-per-view points came from. And they are taken for granted. They are not appreciated. They are not looked at as kindness or generosity. They never were. I don't know how, but they never were. And so now, one thing that they do succeed at doing is encouraging promotion. Should we word it that way? The pay-per-view structure of having that number come in and attaching your ego to that number encourages promotion. So I will tell you, I want to see where that goes, but it's not as though this hasn't been done before. Been a number of boxing matches, for example, that didn't go to pay-per-view. The zone model, and if I have this wrong, I apologize. I'm a member and I push whatever button, and if I'm buying pay-per-views and do it. But I thought with my subscription to the zone that I just get the fights. If that's inaccurate, please. But for Shapiro to have to answer this, president of TKO, WWE stopped doing pay-per-view years ago. There's not one like this idea that then the guys are going to get less. There's not one athlete that has even made such a hint. Not a champion, not a feature, not a main eventer. There's not one single person in WWE that has even hinted that their payouts are less. And there's never been a time in UFC history where year over year the payouts were less. I am curious as to where is the incentive? Where is the incentive to have certain cards and to structure them in certain ways? Now, I know that could exist because the WWE, as I said, has already done that and business has grown. I'm just sharing with you, I'm curious. But the idea that fighters would be paid less, fighters have never been paid less, and that includes years the company made less. To draw a conclusion that fighters going to be less because the company made more, I've got to tell you, when you say that, I feel first off, you missed the gift that you were given. Being given a gift of no longer having to pay for pay-per-views. And if that is your mindset, I feel that perhaps you have greatly missed the point.